Hello, 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 Mr. Pop Culture Phenomenon here. And I am bringing you guys today another podcast. For those of you who don't know what a podcast is, it is a pop culture podcast. It's a play on for words. You guys will get used to it. So, in today's video, I am gonna be sharing with you guys what made Dragon Ball Z so special. So, before we dive in, don't forget to like, listen, and subscribe below. But anyways, let's just dive right into it. So, Dragon Ball Z, a comic series that was featured in Japan's famous magazine Shonen Jump that premiered in 1989 that got a spin-off to a anime TV show in Japan, I believe roughly a year or two later after its creation. And I think in the Eastern world, they didn't believe that it was going to be as popular as it turned out to be. And it actually came out to be a huge success. With the huge success of Dragon Ball Z emerging, they said in the year 1996, let's try to get this over in the Western world and get it set up for production in the Americas. So basically in 1996, Dragon Ball Z touches down in the United States. And the cool thing I liked about that is when the show got sent over to the United States for production during that time, they did two things that was pretty cool. They actually Americanized the voices of the characters so that it wasn't like English stupid cheesy dubbing. They actually kind of did something that seemed more fitted to Americans, and they actually brought in a American composer to do the score for the TV show. And if any of you guys can remember, I mean, just the little music themes and beats that would pop up for right before fighting starts or right before they're charging up and they're going to like a whole nother level. Yeah, that was just some of the tidbits that they brought over with Bruce Falconer, who was the American composer. And in my eye, these were the little things that they did which played a huge role into the success of the show and as to why I still love it today. I can remember watching this every day at 4 o'clock on Cartoon Network, and then Monday through Friday. And then when it premiered on Saturday nights, on Saturday Night Toonami, you had like the new episodes, which like debuted weekly. And yeah, those were great times during my childhood. And the cool thing that was like made Dragon Ball Z so successful was in America, the ratings basically did phenomenal. Not only for a period of time, for sure was it the biggest fighting anime cartoon in America, but it was probably questionably at the time one of the most popular cartoons, if not the most popular cartoon in America during its run. From this thing being as big as it was, it stemmed 291 episodes, 13 movies, and 2 television specials that came out. And I don't know if you guys remember the 2 television specials. It was, I believe, Tree of Might, and I think the other one was called the Garlic Jr. Saga or Garlic Jr. Special. But those were like the 2 television spinoffs that were created from it. And I remember too that like right around this time, with the ratings doing as good as it was during Dragon Ball Z's run in America, they started dipping into the merchandise of this actual TV show. Now next thing you know, they got DVDs, movies, clothing, action figures, and video games. I can remember playing Dragon Ball Z Kai with me and my friends till like 4 or 5 in the morning on PlayStation and just staying up late and just being addicted to this. And once they got into the merchandise game, literally DBZ was on a whole nother level. I think the only other cartoon that was even potentially close to them was maybe Pokemon at the time. And Pokemon was kind of still doing the same thing, but they had like Pokemon had the video games, they had the trading cards, and they kind of had a good amount of merchandise out there, but not as much as DBZ's. And they were basically like at the time like two of the biggest cartoons in America, and they happened to both be from Japan, ironically. But when you go more in depth to the TV show Dragon Ball Z, the number one thing that I do like is it's a show where you're gonna learn about teamwork, trust. It shows how our good guys have inner strength, and also what it means to not be afraid and to stand up to bullies and tyrants. And I know as little kids, we always saw ourselves in each of the favorite characters that were on the TV show. And when you kind of go into it, for those of you that don't know what DBZ is, in a basic sense, you got these good guys called the Z Warriors. The Z Warriors are roughly 8 characters between Tien, Yamcha, Goten, Trunks, Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, Krillin, and Goku. And in this 291 episode cascade, they have to fight 3 main bad guys. And the 3 main bad guys are Frieza, Cell, and Boo. And the nice thing that I liked about this show was like how for a kid's show, how in-depth the storyline was. I mean, Frieza's like the first main bad guy that they defeat in a TV show. But I mean, it probably, from the time the TV show started until the time it led up to when they defeated Frieza, that was roughly probably 80 to 90 episodes that passed. And it was like a story within a story within another story. It had so much depth and dimension to it, and they really built up the storyline so good. I mean, same thing happened with the Cell Saga too, which was the second bad guy. I mean, it was about one of the main guy's kids coming from the future to tell him about an enemy that's in their time destroyed him. So that he had to go back in time and stop it from happening again. And then it led to like androids, then the androids led to Cell, then Cell led to the Cell games. And it was just like, it was one story within another story. Then these 2 stories were like the prequels that led up to the main story of the main bad guy. So the way they wrote their storylines and how in-depth things were, and actually make it so that like kids are entertained while watching it, was really, really awesome. The creators of the show, hands down, freaking get an A for everything that they did. I mean, at the time when you watch this, you didn't really notice or think about things like that in depth until you got older and you realize how phenomenal of a show that you did watch. And kind of the nice thing that I do like about DBZ, as I'm not going to go in and talk about it more in depth, but if you know anything about how popular Japanese anime is in the States, Dragon Ball Z kind of was the first one that preceded all the other Japanese animes in America. I'm sure there were some other shows that maybe came out roughly around the same time in America, but none of them had an impact like Dragon Ball Z. And it actually, after it, all the shows that proceeded after that are kind of trying to live up to being as big as how DBZ was, but I don't know if any other shows will get to that level. I mean, it basically spearheaded shows like Rurouni Kenshin, Naruto, Gundam Wing, and Yu Yu Hakusho, and etc. And that's another thing that I liked about the show. It was like, once that genre came over to America and I guess Japan saw how much success they had, they went on and, next thing you know, like Japanese anime and fighting cartoons are really becoming just part of American normal pop culture, which is really, really awesome. I mean, at the time, for any other Japanese shows, there was no other shows even rivaled it. The closest one that was even just as big would probably be Pokemon, and some people don't even count that as a fighting anime. I mean, it's hard to say if it is or isn't, but that's another day and another topic for debate. Well, anyways, this is Mr. Pop Culture Phenomenon, and I just wanted to give kind of my 2 cents on as to why I believe, in my opinion, Dragon Ball Z is really one of the most special shows ever created in history, and it's one of the most special shows from my childhood. Once again, this is Mr. Pop Culture Phenomenon, and thank you for listening to my podcast. And like, listen, and subscribe below. And until the next video, take care.